News. The CDC actually changing the recommendation for isolation and quarantine from 10 days to 5. But now the CDC is considering changing that guidance again. This is again for asymptomatic patients, especially after response from healthcare workers who were concerned that it wasn't safe enough. Allison Harris is here with more. So, Allison, is this just a big PR crisis for the CDC? When I talked to Dr. Fauci on Thursday, he was backing up the CDC's recommendations. So what's the latest we're hearing now?
There's definitely some confusing messaging in the White House and this administration here in D.C. They want to clear that up. Now, right now, the CDC says people who test positive but don't have any symptoms, they have to quarantine for 5 days. That's instead of the previous 10-day quarantine. Now, that's because transmissibility is believed to be much lower in the latter half of that period that was the 10-day period. But Dr. Fauci is now indicating that that might be changing. People might be required to test negative after those 5 days to finish their quarantine. Fauci says that's now being considered by the CDC, possibly more changes to come. The CDC has said transmission usually occurs a day or two before symptoms start and 2 or 3 days after. He explained to NewsNation, to you, Adrienne, late last week, why this new 5-day window.
It's not a question of asymptomatic people not being as contagious. It has to do with the duration of the time in which you are contagious. The first 5 days, it's much more likely that you have the capability of transmitting it, whether you're with symptoms or without symptoms. But as you get into day 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and beyond, the likelihood of your being able to transmit it, you might still be infected, but the likelihood of your being able to transmit it to someone else diminishes considerably in those second 5 days.
And as you mentioned, there has been some blowback to these new recommendations as people have difficulty following these changing protocols and guidance and determining what's required and what's not required of them. There are people who are also concerned that those people who have tested positive and then do the 5-day quarantine, that they are still contagious after that point and getting out of quarantine too soon. Dr. Fauci acknowledged that in an interview yesterday. Health officials are concerned that people like essential workers will test positive and they'll be out of work too long if they have that 10-day window, impacting the economy. People are concerned about that they're putting the economy over people's health. So the administration and health advisors to the president, they're going to continue to work on messaging as President Biden will be briefed again this week by his White House COVID response team on Omicron. Adrienne?
Right. And again, these are still claims that they're putting the economy ahead of health because clearly they're using scientific data to try to justify the fact that, no, this is okay. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't put out the guidance. But it's complicated. Allison, clearly. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.